And question by the Minister of Finance, and the member has up to 5 minutes to debate the matter, and the Minister of Parliamentary Assistant may reply for up to 5 minutes. The member for Leeds Grenville.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I'm pleased to provide further detail on how MPAC is stifling local food production in my riding of Leeds Grenville. Whether it's soaring hydro rates, endless red tape, outdated labour laws, or in the case we're debating today, MPAC assessments, business owners feel like they've fallen behind before they even get started. The government just can't grasp the fact that when it's more costly to do business in Ontario, jobs disappear. And it's not only jobs that are driving away, Speaker. I'm just as concerned they're killing the entrepreneurial spirit we must encourage if we're ever going to get Ontario turned around. In the part of Ontario that I represent, many of the entrepreneurs we're relying on to boost our rural economy are found on farms. In my question to the Minister of Finance, I mentioned two examples of local entrepreneurs, Nigel Smith and the McGurns. And Speaker, I want to concentrate my remarks tonight about Nigel, because unlike Terry and David McGurn's Pancake House at Edgewood Farms, MPAC hasn't shut him down yet. Nigel is quickly gaining a reputation for the fantastic artisan cheese he makes at the Busch Garden Farmstead Cheese located in Rideau Lakes Township. I've had the pleasure of sampling what he's making, and I have to tell you, Speaker, it's fantastic. His cheese is exactly the kind of value-added processing we have to encourage if we're truly serious about promoting local food in Ontario. Despite the great quality and growing market, it was an incredible struggle for Nigel to start making his cheese just over a year ago. He battled the government with red tape for 3.5 years before he had the necessary improvements. And you have to admire his determination. I know his dad, Bob, said it was a real kick to Nigel the day the MPAC taxmen walked up the laneway. After heading back to the comfort of their office, those MPAC inspectors slapped an industrial classification on the small building where milk is pumped. So let me set the scene. This building, it's not quite 1,000 square feet, so it comprises about 0.013% of the Nigel's 160-acre farm. But changing the classification of that tiny building from farm to industrial had a huge impact on the property, and Nigel was faced with a hit of an additional $1,200. All this because the MPAC assessors don't know the difference between artisanal and industrial. And, that was exactly my point that I made to the minister last Thursday. Industrial is the exact opposite of what happens on that farm. And I wish someone would just sit down and explain that to MPAC. Many of us had the opportunity last week to go to the Ontario Federation of Agriculture banquet. I sat with representatives of Leeds Grenville, and we picked up the discussion about MPAC's value-added assessment nonsense that we started in my constituency office 2 weeks ago. Now, I know the government has heard OFA's position, but I think it's very important for those listening today to have me read it on the record. OFA says, and I quote, "Ontario must retain and build food processing capacity to have a successful agricultural industry. However, the current property tax classifications penalize farmers for adding value to their farm products." And that, Speaker, is really the bottom line. The government can't talk out of both sides of their mouth. When a farm decides to add value and get that local food producing and helping the local economy, the government can't then treat them like a cash cow by sending in the MPAC taxman. Put another way, local food can't be the golden egg of the rural economy when Premier Wynne and her finance minister let MPAC kill the goose that laid it. And I'm going to quote something else, Speaker, in the very limited time that I have. It's from the Christian Farmers Federation of Ontario commentary. Their quote, "Recently, the CFFO has become very concerned about incidents of increased taxation levels on buildings used for on-farm value-added cycle. Farmers find themselves in the midst of a counterproductive cycle. On the one hand, government agencies encourage farmers to add value to their product. At the same time, other government agencies, notably the Ontario Ministry of Finance, marginalizes the financial benefits of value adding by adjusting taxation levels on buildings used for that purpose. This is obviously not a sustainable situation." Sounds a lot, Speaker, like the question I asked the Finance Minister last Thursday. So I hope the parliamentary assistant, the member for Vaughan, isn't going to stand up and pay lip service to this issue, because it's a huge issue in the rural economy. I want him to stand up and assure people like Nigel Smith and Dave and Terry McGarren and other on-farm entrepreneurs like them, whether it be in Leeds, Grenville or across Ontario, that MPAC has new marching orders. They've already shut down the Pancake House after a dozen years. I don't want Nigel Smith's farm to be the next casualty from MPAC. Thank you, Speaker.
The parliamentary assistant has up to 5 minutes.
Thanks very much, Madam Speaker. So I'm pleased to have the opportunity to stand in my place and to further respond to the question posed by the member from Leeds Grenville last week to the Minister of Finance. As you know, Madam Speaker, our government is committed to supporting small businesses, to help them grow and to create jobs. And that is why, among other things, Madam Speaker, we have put in place a competitive tax system for business and cut the marginal effective tax rate, a key determinant of business investment. We cut that in half, Madam Speaker. To help agri-food producers in the province, this government introduced the Local Food Act 2013, which promotes the good things that are grown, harvested and processed in Ontario. The new legislation is part of a strategy to build Ontario's economy by making more local food available in markets, schools, cafeterias, grocery stores and restaurants. This will create jobs, Madam Speaker, and expand the province's crucial agri-food sector. Building a stronger agri-food industry is part of our government's economic plan to support a dynamic and innovative business climate, invest in people, and invest in modern infrastructure. Speakers, we all know and we all agree, good things definitely grow here in Ontario. But that's not all that we've done to support businesses in this province. Since 2007, the Ontario government has cut high business education tax rates, resulting in savings of over $200 million per year to businesses. This has maximized the economic benefits of the initiative in terms of addressing tax inequities and distortions and leveling the playing field for businesses facing decisions about where to build new manufacturing facilities or other business complexes. And of course, Madam Speaker, this government has introduced Bill 105, the Supporting Small Business Act, just this past season. This bill, provided it passes, will help 60,000 small businesses, charities and not-for-profits grow and save more money by cutting payroll taxes effective January the 1st. Almost 90% of private sector employers would be exempt from paying the employer health tax. This would save them up to $975 annually. More than 12,000 employers would no longer pay the tax bill. I am happy to speak about the fairness of property tax classifications, Madam Speaker. A key principle of the property tax system is ensuring consistency so that similar properties are taxed in a similar manner regardless of where they're located. So, for all farm-related activities, we apply the following property tax classifications with a view to providing consistent treatment to activities located on or off farms. The portion of a property used for primary agriculture, such as growing crops or raising livestock, is included in the farm property class. The portion of a property used for selling farm produce, such as a store or restaurant, is included in the commercial property class. And, Madam Speaker, the portion of a property used for processing or manufacturing, for example, making wine, is included in the industrial property class. In response to requests from the agricultural sector and from municipalities, our government has taken action to bring consistent and equitable property tax treatment to a number of agricultural activities since 2003, including farm bunkhouses, sour cherry processors, maple syrup producers, and equestrian farms. We continue to enjoy a productive dialogue on farm property assessment issues, Madam Speaker, through a multi-party working group that includes representatives from the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, from municipalities, from the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, and the Ministry of Agriculture and Food. Where there is ambiguity or lack of clarity or inconsistency in the property class definitions, we will continue to address individual issues as they may arise, which, Madam Speaker, brings me around to the Special Purpose Business Property Assessment Review. As many in this House will know, in the 2013 Ontario budget, the provincial government announced that we would be conducting a review to identify opportunities to further strengthen property assessment processes and the property tax system in Ontario. Speaker, I am proud to say that on behalf of the Minister of Finance as his parliamentary assistant, I am leading this particular review and have been working very closely with a number of important stakeholders and partners across the province, across a wide variety of special purpose business properties, including farms, to try and strengthen Ontario's property assessment system. So the House knows, Speaker, and so the member from Leeds Grenville knows as well, we intend, and I in fact can confirm, that the final report back to the Minister will be released before the end of 2013. Just so we're clear, This review is focused on areas where municipalities and taxpayer representatives expressed an interest in working with the province, including clarifying and refining assessment methodologies applied to special purpose business properties such as mills, landfills, and billboards. It also includes looking at the assessment specifically of farm properties, reviewing the timelines for assessment appeal processes, and considering other opportunities to strengthen MPAC. I look forward to delivering this report shortly, Madam Speaker, just as I look forward to working with this government and this legislature to implement our three-part plan to grow Ontario's economy and create jobs by investing in people, building modern infrastructure, and supporting a dynamic business climate. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Being no further matter to debate, I deem the motion to adjourn to be carried. This House stands adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.